like and subscribe.
Dude, his tash is well groomed for a miner. That's crazy. That's in like right. What was the AI stuff? Okay. What are the squats now? New law.
Hi gang, the
dwarves.
hardy space dwarves of Warhammer 40k, the squats, have gone through a few revisions over the years. A playable army in the very first edition of the game, then languishing nowhere for 20 years before returning as a couple of different things. But now the Necromunda Halls of the Ancients book is with us, and that includes some details on how these hardy miners came to be living in the Imperium.
Miners?
So let's delve into the depths of the book and find out the new lore for the squats.
Okay.
Squats are an abhuman strain that has had a place in the world of Warhammer 40k since its very beginnings. Originally hardy miners and pioneers whose brotherhood and guild forces inhabited the worlds of the galactic core and sometimes allied with the Imperium. They were a playable army in the very first editions of 40k, but by the mid-90s, they sort of fell out of the
Female predators. Okay, man.
game. A casualty of 40k trying to make itself less like fantasy in space, and they were rarely mentioned or really developed. They were still there, still in the galaxy, they just weren't a prominent or playable faction for a long time. A forgotten thread of 40k. But then recently the squats, or at least something resembling them, have returned. First,
So the other guys were just wrong. They weren't retconned out and then brought back in. They just weren't mentioned at all for a while.
As the odd squat character inhabiting the world of Necromunda, and then as the Leagues of Votan, 40k's newest sort of alien faction. But the links between these two things, the squats and the Leagues of Votan, and the place of squats in the Imperium, how one of those is related to the other, has never been revealed until now. The new Necromunda book goes into a fair amount of detail on squats in general, where they came from, their place in the Imperium of Man, and how they turned from the kinfolk of the Leagues into the abhuman squats of the Imperium. The book obviously focuses mostly on the Ironhead squats of Necromunda, but their story, how they bargained for a place on the planet and cannily...
I will say, I do like this. The other one is like old design, old campy 80s design. I like this. This fits more in with the current law.
He kept the Imperials in their debt for 10,000 years.
The grimdark.
It's a great example, not only of what squats are now, but also how they can be found all across the Imperium. The Ironhead squats are a ridiculously powerful faction on Necromunda, but just like everything in 40k, the story of squat settlement on the planet starts 10,000 years before, and to tell their story, we have to start with the Leagues. The Leagues of Votan are the latest incarnation of Space Dwarves in 40k, a thematic continuation of a really old bit of Warhammer 40k lore that was never really expanded on, the myth of the Men of Stone. I have a video that was never really
we watched that one. I like this. In this, the actual figures, they do look fantasy. This wizard guy, the psycho, but in this, I guess it's just the art style. This looks really cool.
Expanded on.
It doesn't look out of place.
Myth of the Men of Stone. I have a video that goes into a bit more detail on it there.
Men of Stone.
Millennia ago, at the dawn of
Metal.
the dark age of technology, humanity created a species of engineered human designed to exploit the wealth of the galactic core. These new abhumans became short, powerful, and
They
hard.
controlled drones. Ooh, so like a summoner type. I do like playing summoner. Summoner is very good.
possessed of a keen eye for mineral and resource wealth, and crucially had dimmer and more resilient souls so as to be safer when traversing the warp. And their civilization was regulated by advanced AI that became known as Votan, vast data cores that, as well as processing and guarding the information that the fleets discovered, were also responsible for creating new individuals. The abhumans would be clones, but not identical clones. Each of them was built from a vast repository of diverse genetic data so that the explorers would have a huge range of skills and aptitudes. In time, these explorers effectively...
So close. I was still remembering the video where we talk about the men of gold, the golden man or something. And I talked about how close Warframe lore is to Warhammer 40k. Like, Warframe just straight ripped this shit. Like, talking about clones, these seem like Grineer, but like less fucked.
Colonized the galactic core, becoming estranged and forgotten by the rest of humanity over the intervening millennia. Their leagues continued to build their strength, mining for resources and plundering the wealth of the galaxy in the galactic core, and fighting wars of conquest against, well, anyone who had stuff they needed. The leagues consider the resources of the galaxy
America. America.
Their ancestors given right to exploit, even if someone else is currently living on them. The imperial opinion on the leagues varies. The kin of the leagues are sometimes seen by imperials as abhumans, just like ratlings or ogrins, a stable mutation of humanity.
Ratlings? Ogrins, I know, because of Dark Tide. What's ratlings? Catgirls, but rats. And these guys are part of the Imperium? Hobbits? Oh, they are hobbits. Whoa. What a great... Second class citizens? Yeah, makes sense. These dirty halflings. Oh my god, they actually are hobbits. Oh god. Okay. That's funny.
Still be looked down on as unfortunate or unclean compared to baseline humans, but not that bad.
Okay, so these are better. They're treated better than the ratlings, but still not human. But like, there's not much that is different from them, right? They're just shorter and stockier. Isn't it just based on the planet that they grew up on or something? I guess they're clones as well, so that... Okay, no mind, I take it back. Yeah, they are clones, so...
Though human in origin is often considered heretical by the adepts of the Mechanicus, and the leagues try and keep quiet that it makes use of artificial intelligence, and they certainly deviate in terms of their...
They use AI?
The leagues venerate their ancestor cores, the Votan, and the Emperor of Mankind means nothing to them. Because of this, they're sometimes considered little more than aliens, another form of Xenos, having diverged so far from humanity over the years.
Oh.
The Imperium's opinion on what the leagues are seems to vary depending on their contact and where in the galaxy they are. But while the greater amount of the leagues of Votan have very little contact with the Imperium anyway, they are still close enough to humanity for members of the kin to sometimes find themselves upon Imperial worlds, maybe even living there amongst humans for generations. And Necromunda is just one example of that. Within the Imperium, the kinfolk of the Leagues of Votan, at least those who have deviated enough from their origins to adapt to life amongst humanity, are known as squats. Given the status of abhumans within the Imperium, this can sometimes be considered a slur.
Yeah, it's like gypsy. Right, it's like the term gypsy. We use that a lot in the UK.
Degrading term, but it's one that in some areas the kinfolk have...
Squats is crazy. That's wild.
Squats in the Imperium can
We
find
love
employment
slurs.
in a number of fields. Their technical expertise and unique adaptations serve them well on the crew of freighters and starships, at least those that don't have a very strong mechanicus presence, and their general hardiness can see them serve as security or as bounty hunters, or working in workshops and repair yards. Some are only called that name, Squats, by the Imperials. They still think of themselves as kin of the Leagues, but others have been in the Imperium so long that they've ceased to identify with the Votan at all. The origin of the Squats of Necromunda are clouded in 10,000 years of history, like everything in 40k, but it's clear
Classic.
that their story starts with the Votan, particularly a league known as the Confederation of Urlish around the early 31st millennium, as the Imperium was recovering from the civil war that was the Horus Heresy. The Imperium had discovered Necromunda during the Great Crusade.
Dude, it always leads back to the Horus Heresy, man.
Known as Irenaeus Prime, an ancient pre-strife mining and manufacturing colony that had become the capital of a small stellar empire known as the Irenaeus Continuity. This was facilitated by a series of ancient Xenos warp gates that allowed swift travel between its systems. Initially, the tech nobility of Irenaeus refused to bow to the Imperium, and they were brought into compliance by force, the Imperial Fist Legion conquering the outlying planets within months and forcing the core worlds to surrender. But shortly after they did, the worlds of the continuity came under attack by a mysterious Xenos force who appeared from those gates to ravage the systems. The Imperial Fists pulled their defenses back to the core world, protecting only what they knew they could hold and destroying the warp gates to limit the aliens' incursions. But by the time the Xenos threat disappeared, the old Irenaeus continuity was no more. All but one of its worlds had been destroyed, and the remaining one, Irenaeus Prime, was changed forever, a wasteland, with only the shattered remains of hives standing amidst the wreckage. Necromunda. And then the Horus Heresy happened, and the shattered hives were drained further to provide regiments for the Imperial army. By the time the war was over, the planet was a shadow of its former self. Great resources and ancient technology still remained, buried in the ash and wreckage.
Is a planet. I thought it would... Okay.
But the infrastructure of the planet was devastated. It would take centuries to rebuild to a point where it could once again exploit those riches. And it was here that Oryth Ioni, Carl of the Confederation of Urlish, saw an opportunity. The Confederation of Urlish was a league of solar miners and void prospectors with a reputation in kin society for their unhealthy interest in human affairs, and for the recklessness of their leader. According to legend, Oryth first heard of Necromunda when a rival Carl bet her that even her skilled miners couldn't squeeze a profit from such a dead world. Ever one to accept a challenge, Oryth set her fleet in motion. The 13 great bastion craft of the Confederation embarked on a colossal journey, far from their homes in the galactic core, battling pirates and void monsters, until at last they arrived in the Necromundan system to find it garrisoned with a war-weary Imperial Navy fleet, fresh from the wars.
No way. There's the start of them. So, wait, how did they become clones?
In the years since, numerous Xenos raiders had attempted to plunder the world, and the Imperial crews initially just thought this was another, but Oryth Ioni talked them down, travelling alone to their capital ship and persuading them to grant her an audience with the rulers.
Not all are clones?
Such was her confidence and skill at negotiation that Ioni ended up in Hive Primus itself, in a fateful meeting with Lord Vargas, the planetary governor of Necromunda, and First Captain Agados, commander of the Imperial Fist garrison that still protected it, and together they signed the first Great Charter. The Imperials of Necromunda remember...
Ew, what the fuck?
Remember this, the time that the great Lord Vargas bound the Squats forever to their service. Vargas was a practical man, a veteran of the heresy, and he saw the arrival of the kin as an opportunity to hasten the rebuilding of the planet. Holding off delegations from the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Administratum as long as he could, he made sure that the inventors and engineers of the Squats would be a boon to industry, their service invaluable in remaking the hives and rediscovering the forgotten technology of Irenaeus. By binding the Squats to the planet, Lord Vargas would be remembered as the man who rebuilt Necromunda. For the Squats, the first charter is remembered as the crowning achievement of the canon.
Oh, never mind. I'm so dumb. I was thinking, wait, they're traveling to this planet and then they become the dwarves, they become the Squats, but no, they were binding them to them, so they were already what? Wait, is the previous law still intact then? So the other video, they were just lying, or at least they didn't fucking know at all about the new law, so they thought, okay, Squats were there, then they got retcon, and then they brought them back, but it's actually the Squats were there, and we don't know about it, and now we have the new law.
Or yes, I, whose negotiations...
So what's the old law then? How did they become what they were? I think I'm vaguely remembering someone saying that it's something to do with planets and like how they become short and stuff like that. But then they added like there's like AI into it, and then the cloning thing, which I thought it was all of them, but not really. They added it to the existing law. Okay. So the other guys were just wrong. Blame Maine. If I get anything wrong, blame him. He sent me that video. He sent me that video to look at. And those guys don't know about the new law. They just think that it got retconned and then put back in.
Land rights to an imperial
Prolongs
world
exposure to supergravity.
That day set foot on. The Squats were granted mining rights to vast tracts of the Ash Wastes. According to their histories, the desperate Imperials acquiesced to all of I&I's demands.
Big hole. Just a big hole. Okay.
Badly did they need the skills of the kin. Whatever the truth, contracts were signed and the kinfolk of the Confederation set to work. 12 of the vast Bastion ships were landed in the wastes, stripped down until they became the 12 great holdfasts of the Squat mining clans, though one clan, the 13th clan, are known to have rejected the charter.
Really? GW with the number 13, man. Come on now. Just chill out, okay? It's getting cringe now. I'm kidding.
And disappeared back into the void. Their great ancestor core, the Votan of the Confederation, was landed in one of the holdfasts and started adapting the biology of the kin to better survive in the harsh ash wastes. And once the charters were signed, the engineers of the Earlish went to work. Squat builders doubled the size of Hive Primus in their first millennia on the planet, constructed the Great Ash Road and the
Okay, this is kind of slightly off topic, but I'm appreciating now the amount of work that the writers have at Riot to make a law that doesn't surround the typical fantasy setting. And huge thanks to some of the Warhammer fucking guys who moved over and worked with Riot. We're working out like new law and shit. I'm pretty sure they helped with like Viego's story. But yeah, I'm glad that they don't do the typical like adding the fantasy tropes of like dwarves and elves and stuff. Even though there's technically one elf. Technically. No. I think she's just a spirit. She's not an elf. Alright. But yeah, in league law, you don't find the typical stuff, but like
Magnium underway that linked the ancient
But
hives.
I don't mind it. Like in space, you have like the normal fantasy stuff, dwarves, elves, and orcs and stuff. That's really cool still.
And even constructed thousands of atmospheric processors to stabilize the climate. I&I herself made numerous deals with hive lords, nobles, outlanders, and clanners, a network of contracts and obligations known today as the Iron Debt that made sure that the Imperials would be dependent on her people for millennia to come. And over the centuries, they became an integral part of the world, the kin of the Confederation of Earlish spreading through the ash wastes and the underways of the planet, and slowly becoming the Ironhead Squats of Necromunda. Squat society on Necromunda is still overwhelmingly controlled by the 12 ancient Ironhead mining clans, mostly the same 12 that landed their holdfasts in the Ash Wastes 10 millennia ago. Core to the culture and beliefs of each of the clans is their Great Charter, the ancient documents that not only grant the Squats the status of natives of the planet, but also defines their clan's claim and mining rights. The holder of the Charter is the Charter Lord, the leader of each clan, But every squat born to the clan has the right to add their name to the charter once they come of age, and the lords of the clans may grant individual squats higher stakes, creating drillkin or charter masters. In this way, the charter also serves as a record of the lineage and history of the clan, binding the squats to a legacy started millennia ago by their ancestors, and reverence of one's ancestors.
It's just a shame that if humanity wins, which will never happen in a long time, if at all, but if they do, the ratlings, these guys, the squats, any Xenos out there, yikes.
Ancestors is a key part of squat culture, likely derived from the kinfolk reverence for their ancestor cores, the Votan. But for the squats of Necromunda, this reverence for their forebears has only grown in recent millennia since the tragic loss of their own core. Around the 36th millennium, the ancient Votan ancestor core of the Confederation was lost in a series of earthquakes caused by the passing of the dark orb Somnus close to the world. The ancestor core, originally stored within the Anglish holdfast, and that had been dutifully created.
Technically, squats are more human than what humans? I think, I know they're kind of divided, the Imperium is kind of divided, but I'm pretty sure if at some point they're not dealing with demons or Xenos, these guys might be next.
And modifying the clone skeins of the kin of Necromunda, keeping the records of the clans.
Not to forget, they'll probably bring up the AI shit, right? Then Oghren. True, Oghren is, I forgot. Oghren. No, I love Oghrens. Oghrens are so good. No. Next time, we need to find an Oghren. I need to know what Oghrens are. I need to know.
And providing
and where they come from
to their technical problems was lost, falling deep into the under-earth of the planet. Since then, the squats have resorted to more traditional means of maintaining their numbers, which has led to an upsurge in regard for familial ancestry. Indeed, while any prospective charter lord or charter master must prove their worth in the eyes of their peers, hereditary ranks are now quite common amongst the squats. The Graven Path, the search for the lost ancestor core, is a calling that a lot of elder squats find appealing, dedicating their final years to exploring the underearth.
What's that?
In search of the lost knowledge of their past. Over the millennia, the fortunes of those original 12 clans has shifted somewhat, with some enduring the ages and others splitting to form new ones. The Anglish clan is the most numerous clan in the western hemisphere of the planet. Their holdfast sited on Essos Peak at the edge of the Great Equatorial Wastes, near to many of the largest hive seas. In squat society, they're seen as the spiritual successors to Oryth Ionai, close to the hivers to an extent that many clans would be uncomfortable with. They have numerous dealings with hive organizations, trading in Tradior Prime.
They're allowing this. This is kind of crazy that the Imperium is kind of turning a blind. I guess it makes sense. The Adeptus Mechanicus, they have like their own kind of lord they worship, really, their gods. But the Empire sees them as another race, but I don't mind since they don't want humans to integrate with them as part of the human race. I mean, sure, but it's just, I feel like, I don't know. I think my point still stands. If at some point, which would be never, they'd probably, like, you know, kill them off if there were no demons or anything like that. Profits are too high to not have them. True Imperium is hypocritical when they want to be. True, if it you know, if it improves mankind's chance of winning or staying alive, makes sense. Imagine Warhammer law is real and we're just too fucking stupid, or so our planet's just ignorant. Well, no, I mean, they have Holy Terror. This is just in the future. We're not there yet. This is all in the future. It is real.
And the Minerva cluster, and holding long-term contracts with the Guild of Coin and houses Orlok and Goliath, and this has made them the richest of the clans and the most well-known. To many hivers, the Anglish and the Ironhead Squats are one and the same. The humans hardly aware that there are other clans out there. The Tapfakit mining clan, by contrast, keep to the old ways, and their dealings and income come from one of the oldest structures built by the Squats, the Necromagnium Underway, that runs underneath the equatorial spine and connects the two hemispheres of the planet. The Underway is one of the great symbols of Squat engineering craft, and the Tapfakit are renowned for their innovation, their graven seal lying on many of the most ancient structures on the planet. As an enduring symbol of this, their holdfast lies across the Underway like a gate, all traffic passing through its carved foundations.
Tunneling. That's what happened to the humans during the Eldar rule. You filthy Xenos. There are other planets in 40k that claim to be Earth/Terra. Why don't they tell them which one's Earth and Terra? The Emperor knows. He has to know. He fucking grew up on that place, right? So it's like, this is where the real Terra. Now you're thinking we call it Earth because, like, we can't be original. True. What if there's so many planets out there with like intelligent life and they called it Earth as well? And they all have English, surely. Right.
Which allows the Tapfakit to extract
all Latin based
coal from the merchants that are dependent on it. The Svardhol clan are a warlike clan whose holdfast stands atop the ruins of the Calvaria hive cluster known as the Skull. Millennia ago, the Svardhol joined the Imperium in repelling an orc invasion of Necromunda centered on Calvaria, and ever since, the Svardhol have been famed for the quality of their warriors and weapons. The area around the Skull is still haunted by
they fight and they don't dig. What
monsters and twisted beasts, and all squats of the clan complete tours in the clan militia to keep them at bay. The Skragfrid clan keep their holdfast on the edge of the Spoil, the vast rubbish heap that covers thousands of square kilometers of the surface of the planet, and is prized as a source of ancient
Dude, I would hate to be there, man.
Chemical and mineral wealth. The Skragfrid are master explorers and prospectors.
Right.
Their expeditions spreading across the surface of the planet, even as far as the southern ash pole, and even off-world. Skragfrid militia have even been known to serve alongside...
Dude, they don't fight each other? They probably do, actually. No, man, they probably do. The clans probably do. But I'm like, I'm sorry. I was born at the spoil, at the scrap heap, away from the good shit. Nah, gee, I'll take your shit.
London Imperial Guard regiments off-world. Their maps, including maps of the regions around the spoil, are greatly prized. These first four clans are the most well-known amongst the hivers of the planet. Their holdfasts all situated around or near the equatorial spine.
Oh shit, there's more clans.
But other clans tried their luck in more exotic locations, extracting profit from the stranger parts of the planet. The Helmayeth mining clan harvest the chemical wealth of Necromunda's poisoned oceans, their holdfast setting down at the bottom of one of the planet's massive sump seas. From there, their submersible craft have travelled through the veins of the planet, through underground rivers and vast underground oceans, sometimes even emerging in the underhives of the hive cities.
Who the fuck is buying this shit? I'm sorry. I'm gonna do this, man. I'm gonna go to the scrap heap and gather scrap heap juice. Who wants to buy my scrap heap juice?
And as well as extracting the riches of the deeps, their clan are feared as pirates and smugglers. The Snorag went even deeper. Considered strange and insular, the Snorag...
Probably the ratlings, right, guys? Probably the duck juice. Let's relax now. He went so horrible and everything. What is C18B? Holy nerd shit, man. Blue, purpley planet. Okay.
made their home deep in the maze of caverns and ancient mines known as the Underearth, a lightless realm filled with lost mineral wealth and horrific creatures. Despite being relatively reclusive,
That's so funny, dude. That's so funny, dude. They literally came here on a bet. They had a bet. Oh, you can't extract shit from this planet. Everyone has tried. And they're literally gathering anything. Somebody will buy this this toxic waste I just found. Right, guys?
Maintain trade links with the humans and the other squat clans of the planet, though none of those know where their holdfast lies. The Trocken clan set their ship down in the northern reaches of Necromunda, near to many failed hives, seeing those as potential sources of income, and in the millennia since, the clan has become expert at stripping the bones of the dead hives for resources. Their prospecting parties and land trains venture into some of the most dangerous parts of the planet in search of plunder, areas where even the Ash Waste nomads fear to set foot. After the fall of
I need to start selling some scrap, man, some shit.
Something. Hive Mortis, the Trocken were some of the first to move in, eventually establishing an alliance with House Escher to exploit the dead hive. And the Vosinki never landed their holdfast at all. Instead, their great bastion ship was converted into an atmospheric sky mining craft, and the clan dedicated themselves to harvesting chems from the toxic winds of the planet.
What? Oh my god, these are just recyclers, man. They're worms. I'm just realizing. These guys are worms. They dig. They, like, recycle shit.
Their prospecting parties travel across Necromunda, their sky mining rigs harvesting the chemical dust from storms that gather.
Chemical dust.
And then the last four clans are even more mysterious, rarely seen by outsiders. And of course, there are still rumours of the fate of the ancient 13th clan, but even more clans than those have arisen over the years. Individual charter masters splitting with their old clan might take their piece of the charter and set out with bands of followers to exploit some new opportunity. Some of those splinter clans have grown almost as powerful as the originals. Clan Rygoth are famed for their weaponsmithery, far in excess of their old compatriots in Tapfakit. But the most famous recent example of this is Clan Jardlan, famously founded by Rygor Jardlan during a disagreement with his charter lords in Clan Svardhall over drill bits. Jardlan and his followers eventually founded their new hold on the outskirts of Hive Secundus, prospering in the wasteland around the Hive for 1,000 years.
Jeez.
Unfortunately, with the fall of Hive Secundus to Gene Stealer invaders, Jardlan found itself under attack, and after decades of warfare in the underways of the planet, the holdfast was eventually overrun. Only recently has the descendant of the last Charter Lord, Orin Grimjarl, risen to ownership of the Hive, repopulating its ruins with his own small band of followers. Outside the necessities of trade, the Ironhead squats of the clans rarely interact with outsiders, content to exploit the riches of the wasteland. The squats are...
So, wait, do they just sell to each other? I would have thought they would like sell, like, I don't know, to the Imperium. They probably do have dealings with the Imperium, right? But it's like, what it sounds like is they're like very insular. They kind of deal with each other. They just buy each other's shit.
Culture apart. While they can speak the languages of the Hivers, their native language is known as the Graven Tongue, the language their contracts and charters are laid down in. Their people work their claims for their own profit and that of the clan as miners, excavators, engineers and craftsmen, often deep beneath the earth and far from any contact with those outside the clan. Even the great councils of stone, the moots where the clan lords of the greatest clans meet, are incredibly rare.
They sell to the planet Necromunda, the second most populated planet. Okay.
Most clans just keeping to their own affairs. When travellers in the wastes do encounter squats, it's often part of a vast prospecting expedition. Squat prospector teams travel in vast convoys of armoured vehicles known as land trains, a dozen or more giant tracked platforms connected together to traverse the wastes. These land trains are large settlements on their own, often circled into vast lagers when promising seams are found, and from the main body of the train, smaller armored vehicles spread out in search of the next opportunity. Termite mining vehicles are deployed into the crust of the planet. Scalvian explorators trace the dunes, searching out new prospects.
Planet butt plug. Aha. Okay.
Surrounded by swift outriders on Sphenatar scout trikes. The land trains are heavily armed and armored, the drill kin who crew them ever ready to fight off raiders and attacking beasts. In fact, many of the clans have a long-standing grudge against the Ash Waste Nomads.
Whoa, these guys are cool. What the fuck?
The other clans have a long-standing grudge against the Ash Waste Nomads.
Ash Waste Nomads. Are they humans or what are they? Are they Xenos?
The other inhabitants of the wasteland, who are often enraged by the squats' exploitation of their ancient
humans.
homelands. The drillkin of the squats have adapted much of their equipment from the void mining technology used by their ancestors. Exosuits, derived originally from armored void suits, are common in the clans, equipped for both deep core mining and close quarters combat in the tunnels of the Underearth. And these are supported by even larger suits, like the Vartijan Exo Driller, originally invented by the
Driller, my driller.
Another throwback to their ancestors in the leagues is the use of techmites, robotic companions with limited decision-making capabilities that can be specialized for navigation, excavation, or surveying. The wasteland mining clans of the Ironheads comprise...
Are those the AIs, or what's the story with the AIs? You guys said AIs before. What's the AI use? Dude, his tash is well groomed for a miner. That's crazy. That's in like right. What was the AI stuff? That's what the fuck did I say?
All the squats of Necromunda, but not all of them. Just like in the rest of the Imperium, not every squat on the planet is a member of the clans. Over the millennia, some squats have turned their backs on the traditions, or found their families expelled from the holdfasts, or just sat out on their own. These squats are collectively known as the Charterless, and they exist outside the rules of House and Hive. Some set up as mercenaries or craftsmen, but others have formed organizations that turn a profit amongst the Hive cities. In Hive Primus, the Masters of the Pit mine the Hive bottom near Dust Falls, and the Shalefist miners work closely with the prospecting teams of House Orlok.
They were isolated from AI Revolt, and the AI is seen as equal citizens or Ironkin. Okay.
Neither are beholden to any clan structure. Other squats have travelled to Necromunda from off-world in the intervening years, working on spacecraft or in the giant docking spires of the Hives. These squats might come from other Imperial settlements or as renegades from the Leagues, and some have even moved down from the Underhive, off-world squats setting up as bounty hunters or weaponsmiths. Once again, like back in the 80s when they were first introduced, it seems that there are plenty of reasons you might find lone squats or small enclaves of them across the Imperium, whether they're happy to use that term or not. They might be small enterprises or lone individuals, but the situation on Necromunda is just one example of how powerful the technical expertise and the knowledge of the ancient leagues can become when dedicated to the service of the Imperium.
I mean, they can recycle a bunch of shit, man. They just...
To say similar setups don't exist across the galaxy. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I kind of want to know like what the original lore is, and I want to see like how they kind of got started. So maybe next time. I don't know when my next reaction streams is gonna be, because I want to be farming Warframe, but probably next time, man. I'll try and find that out. We'll watch some lore. All green lore, I want to know. The squats, the origins, I want to know. And there is a video I added to the playlist at some point. I definitely want to know that.